Welcome to the news at 8 on Canal de English. Good evening. I am Elie SMITH. The headlines. Roman Catholic faithful celebrate 4 years of Pope Francis at the head of the largest Christian denomination in the world. While in Douala, workers are fighting for social justice within their workplaces. Crystal Catala will be telling us how. And in the Noun, that is in the West region, almost all public investment budgets have been allocated, yet 0 projects achieved on the field. Laurent Gamini will be telling us more how such can be possible. Those were the headlines. As you heard at the introduction of this news, the 4th anniversary of Pope Francis' elevation to the papacy was celebrated in Yaoundé. And part of the celebrant, or joining the celebrating crowd, was our Yaoundé Bureau Chief, Beatrice Ngamo. And she brought back this report.
Christians community were at the Noun theatre at Montfebe, Yaoundé, for another celebration. A series of manifestations that started with a Eucharistic celebration at the Mary Queen of Apostles Minor Basilica at Mvolier. Martin Bellinga Ebutu, Director of Civil Cabinet at the Presidency, represented the head of state on the occasion. Monsignor Piero Piopo, Apostolic Nuncio to Cameroon and Equatorial Guinea, asked him to transmit to the President the satisfaction of the Pope after their recent visit to the Holy See. The message of the Holy Father this year is on national communion, which according to the Pope is synonymous to living together.
Communion with the Holy Father, and so communion with all the Church, and through the Church with all mankind. One sentiment abides in our hearts, in our words, and among us: joy, serenity, peace, encouragement, and beautiful and big hope for in the entire Cameroon, in all its components, from the north to the south, from the east to the west, and especially north and southwest.
Foundation of a peaceful living.
Understanding, communion, love, and big hope for this country and for the role this country must play to unite all Central African region, Africa, and all the world.
The Nunciature that welcomes this guest is rich in history, has received all visiting popes, His Holiness John Paul II 2 times, and Pope Benedict XVI during his visit to Cameroon.
Well, still in Yaoundé, where we got the news, or you already know that Mr. Eno Abrahams Egber is the new president of ELECAM, that is the electoral or election organizing body here in Cameroon. He was appointed via a presidential decree signed by Paul Biya on the 25th of April this month. For more on the new president of Elections Cameroon, Tabby Clarkson.
It is 15 in number to champion the National Commission for the Promotion of Bilingualism and Multiculturalism here in Cameroon. This with the view of maintaining peace, consolidating the country's national unity, and strengthening its people's willingness on day-to-day experience with regards to living together. The members were commissioned into their functions this April 27 by the Prime Minister, head of government, who reiterated that bilingualism and multiculturalism have roots in the history of the people of Cameroon.
Commission for the Promotion of Bilingualism and Multiculturalism works to promote 3 key values: 1, bilingualism; 2, multiculturalism; and 3, togetherness.
President of the Commission, Peter Mafani Musonge.
If you look at the caliber of people whom the President of the Republic has appointed to the Commission, I think there are people who are ready to do their work. and we promise that we'll do our best.
Togetherness, a trait in her already.
My father is from the East region, my mother from the West region, and I was brought up in a polygamous family. God gifted me with the capacity of a kind of living together, which I will not have to really force myself to develop in this commission.
The youth's perspective not left out.
As ambassadors of our culture and using our culture as ingredients for social cohesion and development. And as a youth in that commission, I have the responsibility of bringing that youth perspective to the commission.
So too the church.
Church give the opportunity to the people to be together, to celebrate together. The church can bring a high contribution to the success of our mission.
Everyone should be on board for its success.
It's Cameroonians who have put this commission together, and we must make sure that we live up to expectation. But if that must happen, we need all Cameroonians on board, but above all, God Almighty.
To build a nation is not something very easy, but it's important to love one another, to be patient.
Created on January 23, 2017, the President and members were appointed March 15, and the Secretary General just recently.
Well, you may have corrected it yourself. It wasn't the report of Tabby Clarkson as per or concerning the appointment of Eno Abrahams Egbe at the head of the elections organizing body known as Elecam, but rather the installation today of the 15 members of the newly created Bilingualism and Multiculturalism organization. And the pioneer president is Peter Mafani Musonge. So we'll be leaving Yaoundé and coming back to the littoral region, precisely in the Mungo, where stakeholders in the cocoa and coffee sector have expressed satisfaction with improvement in the production and processing of cocoa in the Mungo division. Gladys Ambo Dibang has more.
The cocoa sector in the Mungo division of the littoral region remains a real preoccupation for stakeholders. They met recently to discuss the completion of the maturation process aimed at improving cocoa production. There has been the need to relaunch the sector through the processing of a large quantity of cocoa. At the moment, there are about 450 tons being processed. This year, we are at about 3,500 tons. We think for the 28,000 tons we produce annually, we can process part to increase income and create jobs. Challenges were, however, raised, amongst them lack of funds and fertilizers. The responsibilities of stakeholders were also highlighted. The real stakeholders must be Cameroonians themselves with the support of the state. I have been in the processing sector since 2005. During the meeting that held at the SDO's office in Kongsamba in the littoral region, participants, most of them stakeholders in the cocoa and coffee sector, expressed satisfaction and say the workshop is a great stride in improving their capacities and cocoa sustainable production. With this effort, project heads expect a real relaunch and effectiveness of local processing of basic products like cocoa and coffee.
Still in the littoral region, where here in Douala, trade union leaders and other workers have asked for the implementation of social justice or dialogue within enterprises, and also call for the Ministry of Labor to be highly implicated within their companies in order to solve labor disputes and others. This the conclusion of a meeting that took place here in Douala. And who was there? It was Christelle Cartala.
Mechanisms surrounding social dialogue in enterprise exist but are not applied among workers. Workers syndicates complain that social dialogue is inexistent in enterprises because labor inspectors are not playing their role.
The problem is at the level of implementation. So we are calling to all the inspectors that are officially in in a Douala place to do their job, because we see every day that they have dismissed their role to do. I give an example in a moment that I work to a company since 15 years. I did not see an inspector coming to do his inspection in that company. That is not true. It's not good, because their job is to come and see if the workers are well taken care. So with the We Syndicate, we have make a constat that the inspectors are not doing their job.
In such a working condition, workers ask themselves if they can still feed from their job. Do they still feel the anxiety to go to work? Do syndicates still play their role in enterprises? Or do they defend workers' interests or the employer's interest? These questions, among others, were raised during a conference dedicated to workers. Actors concerned in the management of labor disputes have been called to look for solutions.
To tell the authority that there is a problem in that sector, this sector or another sector, so that the official of the domain of workers can come and try to put all the concerned persons to find a solution.
The 131st edition of the International Labour Day will be celebrated on the 20th of May under the theme Social Dialogue, Economic Growth and National Cohesion.
As the 131st edition of the Labour Day approaches, a lot of meetings are taking place. Here is another strange one. The association, or the National Association of Promoters of Nightclubs, Bars and Other Places of Leisure, met recently in Yaoundé to fine-tune their strategies on how to improve working conditions and also how they are going to celebrate the 131st Labour Day. And who was there? It was Beatrice Ngamo, and who brought back this report.
The bar of license or drinking establishments is a very flourishing business here in Cameroon. The number of pubs along the streets tells of the number of persons involved in the chain. A sector that employs numerous youths and contributes not only in the fight against unemployment, but also to the development of the country through her taxes and other bureaus. Between business and services, a balance needs to be in place. The National Syndicate for Operators of Drinking Establishments in Cameroon, Sinedebok, is to put some order and clarify things in the sector. Ahead of the 131st International Labour Day come May 1, 2017, they organized the Barman Week. This to sensitize bar staff on their rights and responsibilities. And it is under the theme, Barman for a Just and Reliable Taxation in Drinking Establishments. The press conference this April 26th by the trade union Sinedebok and partners. This 7th edition will continue tomorrow with a guided visit of some of the bars in town. Saturday, April 29, there will be a sports walk in the morning to be followed by a gala night in the evening at the Yaoundé Conference Center, all to be crowned with the Labour Day March past on May 1st.
And meanwhile, still in Douala, here where the National Commission on Human Rights and Freedoms wants to involve civil society organizations in the monitoring of human rights abuses in Cameroon. Ndi Morin has more.
Human rights abuse remains a major preoccupation for Cameroon. The National Commission on Human Rights and Freedom wants a better coverage and follow-up of human rights cases on the field. To achieve this, they have associated civil society organizations in the monitoring system. A phase objective of this workshop that opens in Douala on April 25 aims at reinforcing the capacity of civil society organizations on monitoring of human rights. Members are from all nooks and crannies of the littoral region.
They are always in the process of learning about human freedoms, learn about human liberties, learn about human rights. So monitoring is kind of capacity of being capable of coming to school to know the rules and regulations of this institution and to learn how to apply them in the society and cooperate between the National Commission and the civil society, that it will interchange the capacity and the system of education, of learning, and educate each other how to come about to defend human rights and human liberty, and also how to teach people how to the process of defending their cases in a given situation or nationally or in this littoral region.
The human rights defenders are still to get abreast with the laws regulating the sector. They equally face several difficulties on the field, particularly with forces of law and order. They are always accused of being offended when told of human rights abuses.
We are improving, although not everything is okay, but we are improving, especially in the littoral region, where we have a lot to do and have a lot to learn.
By ensuring effective monitoring of human rights, experts say it will help them master the situation of human rights abuse in Cameroon.
While in the Noun division, almost 80% of budgets have been allocated for projects that none has been achieved. Alarmed at the rate of underperformance or under-realization of various projects, the government has put in place strategies to see that money given should be proportional to projects achieved. Lorian Gamini has more.
Report from the second session of the public investment budget, known by its French acronym BIP, says project in the Noun division has not yet begun. Then zero in terms of percentage. Some of these projects include the construction of a market hall in the city of Fumban, a bridge crossing over Kichi River in Masayam, cleaning graveyards, among others. This led to the opening of the third session. Adding to these undone projects, there are equally some uncompleted works, such as the extension of the seniors divisional office and the construction of the architectural house of Fumban.
Just reached 2%. That is really, we are worried about that. But the problem is that even 2016 project were like execute up to 88%. So it is not normal that April 2017 we didn't reach 100% for the execution for 2016.
In a bid to finish the various uncompleted projects, the divisional delegate of the Ministry of Economics installed a program to effectively follow up the construction work.
While here in Douala, the musician Nkotti Francois, an organizer of the famous Fomaric Festival, has created a new concept called Mola Taco. And to know about this, we have Crystal Katala, who was there during his press conference.
After the Fomaric Festival, which will be clocking 25 years next year, the promoter of the event, Nkotti Francois, has come out with another concept called Mulatako, which means gathering. The event is aimed at bringing together inhabitants of the economic city of Douala and entertain them during 1 week ahead of the 20th May celebration. I think that the Club Nkotti has launched a new concept, but this event is an event of gathering around the 20th May celebration. Mulatako Event 2017 is a melting pot of culture, sports, and business, which according to the promoter is another concept that differs from Fomaric. I know there is a difference. There is no sport in Fomaric. neither marathon race nor a mini football tournament. There is also no film at Fomaric, so it is a concept I baptize a melting pot of culture, trade and sports. Mulatako event 2017 will begin from the 13th to the 20th of May 2017 at the new site of the cinema ground called Canal Olympia. Several activities like a grand concert, a football match, auction sales, and a marathon race, amongst others, who graced the event. Nkotti Francois, through this initiative, intends to contribute to the maintenance of peace, unity, and stability in Cameroon.
Meanwhile, in France, or in Yaoundé today, precisely in Hawaii, France's ambassador to Cameroon visited the International School for Security. His presence there at Hawaii, Tabby Clarkson tells us, is to show France's support not only to the school, but for security within the sub-region. Tabby Clarkson.
Giles Thibault, French ambassador to Cameroon this Thursday, April 27, came visiting the International School for Security Forces at Hawaii, a school located some 40 kilometers away from the nation's capital, Yaoundé. The school, the E-Forces, is built in a land surface of over 4 hectares of land. The ambassador's visit to the school was to get to know more about a school that has as main mission to train gendarmes, police officials, and civilian personnel in the management of peacekeeping missions. From every indication, the ambassador is a happy man after the visit.
The signification is very clear. It's to demonstrate, but it's no need in fight, the clear support of France towards this school, which is very important for the future of not only Cameroon, but also for Africa. Africa needs to have competent people in the police and the security forces. France is a country which is more helping Cameroon in that particular field, in some other one also. And we are still very present here, and I encourage today other partners to do the same.
To the director of the school, Cécile Oyono, the school, which often trains gendarme and police officials, is highly in need of financial support. The International School for Security Forces, E-Forces, was created in 2008 by a presidential decree, and since then the school has trained hundreds of Africans in the maintenance of peacekeeping missions.
Where these people who have been trained, who will be trained at Hawaii, will perhaps be more needed, is here in the littoral region, precisely in Kongsamba, where a group of armed robbers are going around setting panic in the city with a merry-go-round of violent attacks. Gladys Ambo has more.
Some alleged bandits are terrorizing inhabitants of Kongsamba in the Mongo division of the littoral region. They are said to have burgled several homes and schools, precisely Government Bilingual High School, Kongsamba. The hoodlums made away with household items and money. My office was burgled and I thought I was the only victim. But I discovered later that there were 4 other offices that were also visited by the bandits. In the presence of the brigade commander, we noticed that the drawers and other cupboards in the offices were forced open. At the principal office at first, we thought nothing had been stolen, but in the boss's office the situation is worse. A large amount of money has been carried away. The return of crime comes after the population had been living without fear for the past months. Meantime, they are counting on security forces for their safety as they now live with fear of the unknown.
Well, it is on that story filed by Gladys Ambo that will be putting an end to our news tonight here on Canal de English. Tomorrow is another day, God willing.